Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to join the granny squares to make your granny square blanket. In this example that I have here, my granny squares are actually up until this blue border. So the pink and the blue are my two granny squares. I'm choosing this gray yarn to join all my squares. And you can choose to join your squares as you go, as you make them, or you can make all your granny squares for your blanket and then join them all together, or you can just join them all in one row and then join the next row and keep going that way. The technique is the same regardless of how you do it. So for your first granny square, using the yarn that you're going to use to join all the squares, go ahead and put an outer row, just like we've done before when making a granny square. I've provided links below for those tutorials. Then with your second square, you're pretty much going to do the same thing where you'll start putting that outer edge with that gray color, but you're only doing it for a quarter and then the two sides, because at this point we're going to join the square to this the first granny square. Then we're going to come down this way, joining it along the way. Then we're going to continue the pattern over here, finishing it at this end. So on my second square, I'm at the point where I've done the 3 trebles in this corner loop. Now, if I was just making a square, I'd be doing 3 chains and then putting in 3 trebles. So what we're going to do is we're going to use those 3 chains to join to the square. So I'm going to make 1 chain. Then my second chain, I'm actually going to insert into this chain here in the middle of the chain there. And then I'm going to pull the yarn through that and pull the yarn through that. And we're going to consider that our second chain. We still need to do 1 more chain. That's our third chain. And then we do the 3 trebles in this corner of the second square. Okay, so we've just joined these corners. Now we need to, let me rearrange myself here. Okay, now we need to join, or we would need to make 3 trebles over here. And for doing that, normally we would do 2 chains and then the 3 trebles there. And we're going to use that opportunity to join it to this hole in the first square. So we're going to make 1 chain. Then you're going to just insert it through the hole, not through the stitch, but through that entire hole. Pull the yarn out and pull it back out. So we're essentially doing a single crochet UK style or a slip stitch US style. Okay. And we still need to do another stitch here. We're not going to consider that join there as a chain. We're going to put a second chain in there to count for our 2 chains in the middle. And then we'll make our 3 treble crochets in this hole of the second square. And then we keep doing the same thing for the rest of these holes. So you'll do 1 chain, you'll join it into the next hole like so, do another chain, and then come back to the second square and put in your 3 trebles. This yarn that I'm using does tend to split quite a bit. And if that happens when you're crocheting, just be mindful of it, pay attention to it. If it is splitting, just redo the stitch to make sure that it doesn't split. Again, 1 chain, join into that hole with a slip stitch or a single crochet UK style, and then come back and make the trebles, the 3 trebles. And now we come to the last part. We still have to join it to this last hole before the corner. So we're going to insert, make that one chain, insert, join it, make the next chain. And now we're at the corner of the second square. So we'll go ahead and do our first set of 3 trebles here. 1, 2, 3. And then just like we did at this corner, we're going to join it. So we're going to do 1 chain. Then we're going to insert it into this middle chain here. Okay, like that. Chain it or do a slip stitch and join it. And then do another chain. We'll consider that our 3rd chain. And then 3 trebles into that corner of the second square. 1, 2, 3. So now you've seen how we've joined the 2 squares. You would then continue down this part here, doing 2 chains, 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles, 2 chains, and then you would join it into this last set of trebles, and that'll be the 2 squares joined. When you need to join the next square after this, you'll do exactly what we did here. You'll start by outlining that square on its own and then bring it over and join it this way. And then as you do the next row, again, follow a similar pattern. And as you keep doing more, you'll end up joining more sides than just the one side. But the technique remains the same as whether you're joining one side or whether you're joining it over 2 sides. And that's how you join granny squares.